All right, everybody. I've been waiting to do this broadcast, this live for a minute now. Let me get my notes out. I've been waiting to do this broadcast for a minute now. And, I just really been pondering about making the right decision for me. Really just thinking about making the right decision for me and just understanding that over the course of time that, you know, uh, if God really loves you, he's for you. And if he's for you, he's for you. If he's not, he's not. And God may not be for me. You know what I mean? I'm not exactly sure. I haven't gotten the message just yet, but based on my current circumstances, God might not be for me. He might not actually love me. He might not um, care for me at all, based on my current circumstances and just the fact that I'm consistently under attack. Consistently under attack. I get that people might not like my opinion or viewpoint towards things, whatever. People give viewpoints and opinions all day long online, on back channels, on back chats. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. My bad. One of my friends emailed me. So, this is why I wanted to sell my soul. Particularly, mainly, number one reason is that I never felt like God loved me because He doesn't do anything for me. Not even just the things that I want, but He doesn't do anything for me. I do everything. You know what I mean? I literally do everything. I ask, I open my mouth so that I can receive. I go out, I fix things. I do everything. You know what I mean? And when I really get to looking at my life, it's like, what has God done for me? What has God done for me? And so I wrote down a list of things on why I wanted to sell my soul and or wanted to part away from God. Now, before I get into this, I do want to say that I know what Jesus said. What does it profit a man to sell your soul? What does it profit a man? Oh, see, Jupe, I'm not mad at you. Matter of fact, Jupe, I'm not mad at you for saying that, but don't take it in that manner, family. We talking about what Jesus said and what God said, so you got to relax. There you go. I'm not even gonna put a pause moment because I'm talking about the Bible tells us to ask and you shall receive. So in order to ask, you got to open your mouth. But so let me get down here to some of the things on why I wanted to sell my soul. And sometimes I do consider it. I ain't gonna lie, I consider it. I'm like, man, everything that I want to do and everywhere I want to go, it seems like you gotta give your soul to go to there. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like. Um, I think the first thing, which a lot of people say to themselves, is why am I here? Why am I on earth? Why was I brought down here? Usually the Bible tells us that we're supposed to raise our children up and which way they should go. But I've never been raised up in a way that I should go. I've been very unique my whole life. And even my daughter says sometimes, why can't you just be normal? And I'm like, I don't know. Uh, but the Bible tells us to raise up a child in which way they should go. And I've never been raised up in a way that I should go. I've gone through a lot through my childhood, as I've explained previously in the past. Hello to Kat. Yo, hello to Kat, and I hope that's my longtime friend Kat. I hope that's Kat. That's Kitty. I hope it's Kitty, but it may not be. But I hope it is Kitty. Hi, Kitty. And it's Deku Lover. You might have to change your name, dude. I don't know about that name. I'm not hating on you, but you might want to change that name. Anyways, but why am I here? Like, I constantly tell my daughter, you're here for a purpose. You're here for the purpose. You're valuable. I'm constantly telling my daughter that she has so much that she's about to give the world. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly telling her and reinforcing to her that she's important and that she's here purposely made by me and her mother. Um, but I wasn't given a purpose by my parents. You know what I mean? I wasn't given something that they say, you know, this is what we need you to do for the culture or for your lineage or this or that, or you're smart in this way, so you should go this way. I was never given that purpose um, by my parents. And I was never taught how life actually works and how life actually is and how money works and how money actually is. I was never taught that. And that's why I have such a perverse view on money, because I was never taught about money or how it works or how it moves and all that. I was more so taught about relationships, you know what I mean? And how to value those relationships, which is a good trait, but it doesn't make money valuing relationships. You feel what I'm saying? Now, your network can help you make money, but um, even still, you know, I was more of an introvert when I was younger. I became more of a introvert. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I became more of a. I expanded more as I got older, and um, you know, my networking. You know, I'm just friendly with people. I'm just very friendly with people. I'm always caring and I'm always helping, and I think that that helped carry me a long way throughout life, because people seen my heart and they seen who I really was, right? Um, I think we're at number three now. Constantly being blocked my whole life and never having, uh, yeah, just constantly being blocked and never having the actual connections like that matter. Not that networks, the connections that I have now don't matter, but like constantly being blocked my whole life, feeling like there's this ceiling over your head, even as a child, that there's this ceiling that you cannot burst through. Constantly feeling like there's this ceiling over my head that I cannot burst through. No matter how hard I try, I can't just seem to burst through the ceiling, you know? Um, and having the connections and the money to compete, excuse me, complete objectives. You know, I talked to a good friend of mine from the past, funny friend. She's very funny. And she was like, you know, I remember you had all these aspirations and everything that you wanted to do and such and such. And I don't know if she was trying to take a shot at me low key, but I looked past it because we hadn't talked in a while. But I would have told her if we talked over the phone. We didn't talk over the phone, but I would have told her, I was like, look, you know, not ever having the proper connections to get to the places that I want to go, you know, always being prevented from getting to those people or getting to those places to compete, to complete, excuse me, complete objectives, right? Because there are people in high places that have to actually lift you up, assist, help, open doors, this and that. There's gatekeepers, you know what I mean? And at this moment in time in my life, I definitely really feel like I'm being gatekept. I really feel like I'm being gatekept. And whoever's gatekeeping me, you know, although I may be changing my relationship with God, I would tell those people that um, astaghfirullah to you. I pray that the Most High discipline you for preventing me, because the Bible tells us not to do that. Um, God, number four, God says it's okay to be persecuted. God teaches us that it's okay to be persecuted and actually to rejoice when you're persecuted. But I don't want to be persecuted. You know, I don't want to be persecuted. I don't want to, and nor did Jesus really. Like, you know, Jesus even called out to the Lord, like, Lord, why? And so I catch myself saying the same things like, Lord, why? Why do I need to be persecuted? Why do I have to go through these things? I don't want to be chosen for this. You know, in my most recent prayers to the Lord, I've been saying that, like, Lord, I don't want the same things that you want. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people say, oh, your will be done, but my suffering is not your will. Can't be, based on the good things that you said that you have for my life, that you've seen, and that you have good things for our life and have an expected ending for our life, the Bible says. So why would I want to be persecuted? How was that benefiting me? It's not. And I don't want to go through persecution, just like nobody in the Bible wanted to go through persecution, nor do I want to be chosen for persecution. Some people have the proper anointing for that. Um, Actually, let me take that back. I don't think anybody ever has the proper anointing for persecution. I don't think anybody has the proper anointing for persecution. Remember, people crucified Jesus. You know, the Jews did. And I don't know if they believe in Jesus or not. But they crucified him. You know what I mean? Because he was saying that he was God. They interpreted that he was saying that he was God, and that he didn't think of himself not to be equal to God. And so he was spat on and everything and everything and everything, right? By multiple people, by hundreds of people. People hated him. But, you know, I don't want to be chosen for that. You know, I want to be well liked, and I want to be able to move up in the world so that I can help the world, not to be diminished by the world, or not to be diminished by the people that I'm even trying to help. I think at a different level. And, you know, that's part of the reason. That's another thing. Like, I didn't ask to think the way that I think. I didn't ask to be an indigo child. I didn't ask to be, like I said, chosen. I didn't ask for these things. You know, they were given to me, uh, I'm guessing, in my assignment. Now, I don't know what the Lord wants, but uh, our wills are not the same. And I have the right to have my own will. I have the right to be able to, based on the Lord's scriptures, I have free will. You know what I mean? But it seems that when God chooses you, that you really don't have free will, and that you have to succumb to whatever it is that you have to succumb to. Um, but I don't like that persecution part. I don't think that anybody in the world should have to go through persecution. But we know we live in an evil world, and people are evil. Facts. People are very evil. I think that another thing, I think we're at number 5, is just being able to gain proper employment and stay employed. You know, throughout the course of history of my work history, I've always had, I've always been at my best character. I've always done the best that I could. I've always given my extra effort. I've always been as polite as I can be. The customer service. I mean, I've always been the most outstanding employee in my opinion. But people get mad when I stand up to them, and um, I only stand up to people that abuse. I only stand up to people that look to harm and try to abuse me, because I don't have to be abused, and I don't have to be harmed. I'm allowed to stand up for myself. But the Lord, I get in trouble when I stand up for myself. So what's the point? What's the point of being under the what's the point of being under the Most High if He doesn't want to protect me? You know what I mean? If He's just going to allow me to go through so many things. Um, but gainful employment, you know, having a career, being able to provide for my kid, being able to provide a household for her, constantly been working towards that, and it's been very troubling. But I'm like, if the Lord was with me, why not provide that for me and make a way for me, and keep that way for me, you know? But it's never been like that. However, I've also always wanted to be autonomous. I don't want people controlling me. I don't want people over top of me. I want to be able to be a leader in my own, and I want to be able to own my own. Number 6 thing, which we all have talked about before, being homeless and pushed down. So being homeless, you know, I've always been homeless in my life. I have girlfriends that can attest to it, but they'll also attest to that I never gave up, and I always kept pushing, and I always kept hustling. I always kept grinding. I would fix my own car. I would do this. I would do that. You know, like, I have girlfriends that will attest to that I'm not a bum. And so for me to be homeless, to make it look like I'm a bum, I'm like, Lord, what is this? You know, I have lots of talents that I actually use, except for my rapping talent, the music talent. But I have a lot of talents that I actually use and utilize, and I figure out ways to get things done, and I make a way for myself, and then only to be pushed down. You know, the Lord allows people to push me down. He's always allowing somebody to try to harm me. And so I have to say to myself at some point, I'm like, Lord, how could you be my God if you constantly allowing all these attacks in my life? Um, and I just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? Because I believe God is not a genie, but I believe that God has the power, like He said in the Word. He has the power to, hold on. people loud. He has the power to change anything. Like he has said in the Bible, he could do anything, any circumstance he can change at any point in time. But he's never changed my circumstances. He's never changed anything in my life to where that I didn't have to go through so many struggles. And see, a lot of people see me in the successes that I have had and think that, oh, he's entitled, he's this, he's that. But that's just not true. My ex-girlfriends will tell you I've been homeless multiple times in my life, and I've always grinded through it. Always grinded through it. Always grinded through it. But this time I'm actually being pushed down and held down. And God is allowing that. He's not allowing me to provide for myself. He's not allowing me to provide for my child. I'm being pushed down. I'm being held down by powers. These people, I don't know who they are, but I have suspicions. I've been doing my research, and I've been, going here and going there, testing the waters to see who is who and what's what. But I'm noticing that a lot of the international community is trying to attack me, or is attacking me. White women are attacking me, and white men are attacking me. So my community attacks me, but that's part of being black. People make fun of you in the black community, and they joke around, and that's part of the culture. You know what I mean? I don't not expect that from my people. But that's also why I tend to be by myself a lot, because I'm not gonna let you deteriorate me or talk down to me, or make me feel less than what I know I am. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. Um, this is number 6 or 7. Being banished, having your community turn its back on you is heartbreaking. Very heartbreaking. Um, Especially for me being biracial, you know what I mean, and not having a community in particular, right? Like, I've always been a part of the black community, but I've always kind of been hated on in my community and kind of pushed down or pushed to the side or moved out the way, right? So that my brothers can, or my sisters can shine, and I never get a chance to shine. And people probably would disagree about that, but I don't think so. I've never really gotten to shine the way that I've envisioned myself to shine. And the glory is not mine. It's not really about shining or for the glory. It's really about getting to a place of being in a proper authority that I may help people, and that people would just, be thankful. That I did the things that I did, and that I be valued in my community, right? But being banished and having your community turn it back on you because of whatever reasons, I got some things I want to say about that, but I'm gonna keep that private for right now because I need more information about what's on the internet. Um, this is something that I think everybody. Right. Another thing, God lets evil reign. He lets people lie, and he lets people be competitive. And in being inspired to get the number one hit, to go over, to be lifted up, to gain the glory. But really, God lets evil reign. And I just don't like that. Like, God doesn't like evil based off the Bible says, so why let evil reign? What is this proving? What kind of point are we getting to, or that you're letting evil reign? Like, what does it mean? What does it mean when you let evil reign? The Bible says that he that things rain down on the just and the unjust. So I understand that that's part of the world, but why even let evil reign? You're God. You don't have to let evil reign. And anytime in biblical history that you've gotten mad at too much violence or too much immoral sexuality or too much uh, whatever it may be, or worshiping other gods, God will take that whole kingdom out. Matter of fact, God has flooded the earth before and wiped out humanity. But you're letting evil reign right now. I don't like that part of God. I don't like that part of his decision making. Um, This one is going to sound very selfish. Uh, Nobody celebrates me, and not even having a birthday party. I've never had a birthday party before, and I've said this before, but I've never had a birthday party, and nobody has ever celebrated me. Nobody's ever loved me enough to celebrate me. You know what I mean? And only one person. Well, let me take that back. Only my girlfriends make me. Okay? In the past, I don't have any girlfriends, and I don't have a girlfriend. I'm just saying, in the past, my previous girlfriends, my exes, some of them celebrated me and they took very good care of me, and I appreciate that. But what I mean by being celebrated or having a birthday party, every time I've ever tried to do a birthday party for myself, it's always some type of intervention. It's always something stopping it. It's always something preventing it. It's always something that stops it and gets in the way. And I just have to look at God like, why would you keep allowing things that I'm doing that's positive for myself to be stopped? You know, why do I have to pray so hard to remove people, places, or things that keep intervening in my life? I get sick of that. God sees these things happening, and yet He doesn't do anything about them. And that, my friends, is the issue that I have with believing in God, because do something. You said to call out to you and to cry out to you, but you don't do anything when we call to cry out. You don't provide the justice that is required in the situation. You say that it's an unbalanced weight, that things are imbalanced. You hate you. It's an abomination to have unbalanced weight, but you allow weights to be unbalanced. And some of these things that I'm talking about, it takes years for people to get answers to, or get to push through those doors or push through those ceilings, right? It takes years for people to get that. Like I said, there was a testimony online where a young lady waited 30 some years just to get a sorry from somebody that sorry meant a lot. 30 something plus years this lady was praying, and it took that long to get somebody to finally apologize to her, and that apology meant so much because of what happened and who it was from and things like that. But 30 some years though, like, I don't understand why it's taking the Lord so long to move upon people's hearts. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not understanding that. Um, the Lord has the power and is almighty. He's omnipotent, omnipotent, omnipresent. He can do anything. You know what I mean? He created the galaxies, the universes, the etc. Um, but He gave us all free will, and that's a very difficult thing, because that when you give the entire human race free will, it's almost impossible for uh, you to do anything positive if there's a lot of negative for their people, if that makes sense. I might not be making sense when I say it like that, but hopefully you can interpret it correctly out there. My intentions are always good. And so in my mind, if God loved me, let me win. My intentions are always good. I have brilliant ideas to do with money that are going to help the nations and help people within the United States, but just help out in general. But yet, God does not let me win but a handful of times in life. Now, I've had some big wins, thank God. But, um, I'm just tired that I have to continue to wait on God and go through things that I shouldn't be having to go through. You know what I mean? The average person is not going to go through things that I've been through. The average person. Now, I'm not saying that other people haven't gone through similar things. I'm saying the average person, they just get to live their lives and stuff like that, which makes me wonder, to watching a lot of these like near-death experiences online. I'm wondering, they say that you pick your life, you do this and that. And see, now that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense on why I'm going through such things, because I don't know what it is that I was tasked or that I needed to complete that I didn't complete in my other lives, if that was the case. I don't like competition. I don't really like competing, even though that energy fills my body up when I'm doing different things, right? But I don't like that energy, and I don't really want to be a part of it. Why? Because competition leads to war. Competition leads to war because people want to win, and people will do whatever, as we've watched in many different types of movies, people would do whatever they can to win. You know what I'm saying? People would do whatever to win. And in doing whatever to win, that could lead to death. And none of us want to die prematurely. In believing in God, I'm not able to call upon my ancestors because the Lord, the Bible tells us that you're not supposed to call on the ancestors. You're not supposed to call on people who have passed. They can't help you. And, you know, I've had dreams about ancestors coming to visit me, but I'm not sure what that means because based off the Bible, they're not supposed to be able to come back and talk. So it could be familiar spirits. It could be demons, as some people say, but I don't think it's that. I think that I push so hard and I go so hard that somebody got to come speak into my life or speak to me. But not being able to call on my ancestors. A lot of people call on their ancestors, you know, and what I mean by that is I don't belong to a particular culture. I've always been a part of the Black community. I was raised in a Black community, but what ancestors do I have that I can call on within that community, even though I'm only biracial? What Latino ancestors can I call on? I don't even see. The thing is, what a lot of people don't know is that my father's bloodline is pretty much, you know what I mean? I have a lot of family, really family, because they're like third and fourth cousin and that cousin, but they're not direct cousins. Like on my mom's side, I have direct cousins. You know what I mean? These are like my aunts and uncles' kids. Those are my direct cousins, but I don't have any direct cousins on my dad's side. I don't know anybody. Everybody's gone. And I know that through ancestry because ancestry would have told me. But yeah, my abuela is gone. My abuelo has been gone. Mi tia, mi tios, they're all gone. You know what I mean? So it's like, what ancestors can I call on? Who do I ask for help? And do they see me? If I did have ancestors, do they recognize me? Am I going in the right path enough for them to say, I recognize you, I see you, let me help you? But I have had people in the Black community visit me in dreams and help me in dreams and kind of tell me like, you know, we're here for you, we believe in you type thing, but when are you going to help elevate me? You know what I mean? That's what I need my ancestors to do. I need you to break through. I need you to go to battle with other people's ancestors in the ancestral realm. Okay? I'm getting down to the last couple of points. So but one of the other things I wrote down was always having to face battles. Always having to face battles. And alone at that. And it is scary alone. You know what I mean? I try to be as brave as I can, as much as I can. I am not brave when it comes to music, man. I did not perform last night because I just kept forgetting my lyrics. I just kept forgetting them. But facing battles, man, like I'm constantly going to battles, and that's why I asked the Lord to make me a warrior. Because if you've been giving me battles since I was a kid, then you need to make me a warrior. You need to make me I need to have a sword or a gun or a shield or a vest or something if I'm going to be going through these battles. Like, I need to be able to fight physically, but also be able to fight verbally, but also be able to fight in all the realms, right? Because I go through serious battles. There, people are really in competition with me. They know I'm a threat. I'm a threat to them getting to their goals. Not that I would stop them, but I guess they feel like we're going in similar avenues and they want to be on top. And, you know, I don't really care. I don't try to compete with anybody. I just try to do my own thing. I've always been that way. I just try to do my own thing and go down my own direction. The last thing, let me see if this is the last thing. Yes. So I got two more things. I think I already said this, so it's not really a thing, but always getting in trouble for defending myself. How is that God? I mean, look at David. We gotta use David. David defended himself constantly. Matter of fact, David was a murderer. David would have slew you, okay, and then would have just turned around and apologized to the Most High God, like. So David would have slew you, you know. Um, but in this day and era, you get in trouble for defending yourself. You get in trouble for standing up for yourself. And it's just like, Lord, what kind of life is this that I'm not able to defend myself? And you want me to be in trouble for defending myself, Lord? You see these things. You understand what I'm saying? And I think lastly, um, the thing that really you said was gonna give me. Now I went on this. I did hear God. I did get called. I did answer the call. I did say everything, and still am saying the things that the Lord wants me to say. You guys prepare, read the gospel, understand Jesus' teachings, um, praise the Lord, the Most High God, um, teaching people about the Bible, teaching people about love and being kind and being loving and you know, just being full of the fruits of the Spirit. But the Lord hasn't come in on his part. You know what I mean? And he showed me a dream where he said he was about to do some bigger than phenomenal for me. Bigger than um bigger than phenomenal. Bigger than the Lord said he was gonna do. I can't even describe to you because I only want to tell you what the Lord showed me he was gonna do, but he ain't do it yet. So you're not upholding your part of the agreement, Lord. You know what I mean? And I've always been that kind of guy on a urban type of level. You do something for me, I do something for you. You know what I mean? If I do something for you later, I might call on you to do something for me. And it might not matter. But if we're that, if we have that type of relationship, you know what I mean? We got that type of relationship where we help each other out. You feel me? And but the Lord, he not helping me out, and he's not doing his part. He's not doing his part. He's not doing what he said that he was going to do for my life, for my daughter's life. He hasn't done anything, and it's very disappointing because I'm out here doing everything that you asked me to do. You tell me that I'm gonna be held accountable and be judged, and there'll be blood on my hand for not telling people that they need to repent, they need to change their ways, they need to get a relationship with Jesus, they need a relationship with the Most High God. We need to be fellowshipping, etc., etc. I'm doing my part. Maybe doing my part a little too well. But God didn't do his part for me. You know what I mean? He's not fulfilling his part for me. So with all that being said, as I analyze these things in my head, this is my therapy, by the way. As I analyze these things in my head, as these things constantly pound me, I'm just like, Lord, you're not fulfilling your end of the agreement. You know what I mean? You're not fulfilling your end of the agreement. Now, the Lord did remind me that I had signed a contract with him when I was at a very young age. Um, and I wish I still had the Bible so I could see the contract, but that was those are ages ago. I was at a super young age when I made a contract with the Lord about the things that I would do, and I signed it and everything. So I can't sell my soul because it really doesn't belong to me to sell. You feel what I'm saying? It belongs to the Lord. I've already given it to the Lord before I even had the cognitive ability to think about selling my soul. But like I said, the Lord's not fulfilling his part of the bargain. And the Bible tells us that a man basically plans, but the Lord orders you. I'm out of context, but you know, you pretty much think about and figure out what you want to do, and the Lord will order your steps and guide your steps. But in actuality, in reality, I just go do things. You know what I mean? And in me just going to do things and being consistent over time, things happen for me over time. But um, I've never seen the Lord actually have his hand on my life and actually do something to where I could say, actually, let me take that back. The only thing that I've ever seen the Lord do is bring somebody back to life through the use of that's the only thing that I've ever seen the Lord do. However, I've never seen the Lord actually do anything in my own life. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to sit here and wait. you'll be waiting for years and years and years, and then you'll also be getting persecuted for waiting because people be like, well, what are you waiting for? You're supposed to have a plan. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that, such and such. But um, the Bible does tell us to wait on the Lord. The Bible does tell us to wait on the Lord. And in this new season, in which case I was called by the Lord, I've been following the Lord's instruction, I think, to the best of my ability. I have not seen the Lord fulfill his part of the bargain. Now, in reality, meaning between human beings, you don't fulfill your part of the bargain, the deal is broken. Deal is off when you don't fulfill your part of the bargain. But from what I know, from my recollection, I've been doing everything the Lord has asked me to do, as well as trying to deal with my spirituality as well. But I've been doing everything the Lord asked me to do. He gave me visions. I told y'all those visions. He gave me dreams. I told y'all those dreams. When I see things coming about, I'm warning you guys. You know what I mean? I'm letting you guys know. And so it's interesting because I talked to a young lady, and we were talking politics, and she mentioned to me that just yesterday, she said it's very interesting, that we were talking politics about the Middle East, and then that same evening, the United States drops bombs on Iran. She said it's just interesting. And when she mentioned that to me yesterday, all I could think about is, yeah, I can see the future. I'm prophetic in a way, you know what I mean? Even though I might not have predicted that it was going to happen that day, sometimes I get to talking about things and then they happen like that. They just start manifesting. But I'm like, okay, Lord, I talk positive about myself all the time. How come I'm not able to manifest these things, But right now, it's not just a tough time in my life. I'm literally being prevented from going to the places that I know I'm supposed to go, particularly in finance. And in that same aspect, that has a lot to do with why I don't have my previous business, because there's a lot of competition in that business. There's a lot of people who envied and were jealous, and that got in the way. There were a lot of things going on that I can't talk about on this podcast that interfered with the business. You know what I mean? They interfered with me staying focused on things like distractions and all that type of stuff. But also, I was trying to be in love. That's my main goal. The main goal for all of us in life is to be in love and to find our significant other. The Bible tells us that we are supposed to leave our fathers and our mother's house and cling to our wives or husbands, and cling to them, and move on with our husband or our wife. That's what the Bible tells us to do. So I'm just like, Lord, too many people online and people I met in person say that, you've brought somebody into their life that was for them and things worked out and they're married and all that. But you haven't done that for me at all. And actually, I went to a numerologist before, regardless of what you feel about it out there. I went to a numerologist, and the numerologist said, yo, you're a master number. Like, literally, you're 11, 22, 33. Your whole name spells out master numbers. And I was like, what? Like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? And he was kind of sending me some guiding things, like on what I should be doing in my life. But all those things that he said that I should be doing cost money. And I'm not a writer like that. I can write, but I'm not a writer like that I would write books. You know what I mean? I would write a script and direct a movie. And that's kind of what he said too. He kind of said that too. Like, he said that I got, what's the director from Boys in the Hood? He said I got that same energy. Like, we have the same energy, that same creative energy. If I had the right resources, if I had the right connections, I would be filming and making movies right now. But I don't have anything. You know what I mean? I have uh, a couple good family members that I speak to, and I have really black women who take care of me, to be honest. You know what I mean? Black women, I got some black men that take care of me out there too. I don't want to deny my brothers, but But for the most part, black women have been taking care of me. You know, they consistently help a brother out. You know what I mean? And the black men help me out too, but a lot of them also will tell me, "Hey, pull yourself up by the bootstraps." So, but I have had a lot of black men help me. It was just recently I was working for another black man, and it was great up until we had a disagreement because basically I'm just really that skilled, and um, in a disagreement and me trying to protect the business and caring about the business, he took it wrong, and I'm just not into abuse. I'm not into you yelling and screaming at me and all that type of stuff. Like, who's putting up with that? You know what I mean? And I put up with it for a while, but after a while, especially when you putting so much effort into somebody else's business, it's like, look, I'm not about to sit here and let you disrespect me like that. That's uncalled for. And if you just don't appreciate me helping out and doing everything I do, then just say that and I'll move on. And that's pretty much what happened. I moved on because I wasn't appreciated. You know what I mean? I wasn't appreciated. But that's okay. I'm not upset about it, and I still love my elder. But it just makes me think about God. If God really was for me and if God really loved me, why make things so difficult for me? And it can't be karma because I've dealt with karmatic things. I feel like already, I feel like those things have cleared out. And if people are trying to place karma what is the word? Un I can't think of the word, but basically karma that doesn't belong to me, y'all trying to put on me. When really I'm just trying to defend myself and trying to protect myself and keep my own energy. It's like people won't let me control my own life. My whole life, that's what it feels like. And I'm just like, Lord, why won't you give me my freedom? All in all, with this all said, this is what makes me want to sell my soul. I want to be able to live just like everybody else, normal, just like everybody else. I want to be able to provide just like everybody else. And I'm very talented. Like, I got a lot of talents. Um, and I like to use them. I like to not show them off, but I like to use them. And, people start noticing, like, oh, this dude is skilled, low key. Like, low key, even though he might not have the so-called background or have the credentials, so-called, he actually knows a lot and he actually has a lot of skills and he's actually very beneficial, right? But the Lord doesn't think that, because if he did, then he would allow me to move up and not allow me to be prevented. You see what I'm saying? So all these things that I'm telling you about, it might sound like complaining, but these are the things that I contemplate when I think about selling my soul. You know what I mean? I think about all these things that I talked about in this particular live. These are the things I think about as I'm like, man, I should just sell my soul. Like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Because what matters is me taking care of my kid. And I do take care of my kid as best as I can. Even with me being homeless right now, like, I give her whatever income that I have that I can give outside of, supporting myself and putting gas or feeding myself, washing clothes, stuff like that. But I love my kid, you know what I mean? And that's really the main reason why I would not sell my soul, is because I love my kid. And I've had some mysterious people talk to me before. I do mean mysterious. That I felt like were sent into my life to observe me, to gain information, or to just, figure me out, that are in high places or know people in high places, pretty much like COINTELPRO, but on a hood level or on an Illuminati level. But I've had people tell me, like, you have to give up this, and that, if you want to go to those places, right? Because I've had people tell me who have high level degrees, that have been to high levels of colleges, and that are very intelligent. They've told me that, you got to give such and such and such. I don't want to name those things, but you got to give these things in order to go to the places that you want to go. And I'm like, oh, you can have me and you can have my body and my soul, whatever, but you can't have nobody else around me. Anybody else from my life, Doesn't matter what level they were in my life, even enemy. You know, I wouldn't even sell out my enemy. You know, I would only sell me out because I take I do my own dirt alone. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. When you hustle, you know the best way to move is to do it on your own. Like, don't have people around you, because you don't want nobody throwing you under the bus, and you don't want to have to deal with somebody else getting hemmed up and them looking at you like, "What's up, bro?" You know. So I'm like, nah, I would never sell anybody else out just so that I can come up. Basically, sacrifice anybody so that I could come up. I'm not with that. You know what I mean? You can take me, you can have me. You know what I mean? But you can't have nobody else. You feel what I'm saying? And so that's really why I haven't sold my soul. On top of the fact that I've already created a contract with the Most High God a long, 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 long time ago. You know what I mean? And I do remember I signed it. You know what I'm saying? And I told the Lord, now you sign it whenever He signs it. Uh, but it was, but when you do stuff like that, the angels write that, because you always got angels watching over you, good or bad people, good people or bad people. You got angels watching over you, and they write down everything that you do, because they're going to testify. It's going to be used against as a testament against you in the court of heaven. And so I say to myself, I'm like, man, Lord, I'm just like, look, Lord, you're not fulfilling your part of the bargain. And every time I try to fulfill my part of the bargain, it's always something that intervenes in it. You feel what I'm saying? And I know it's people. And I don't know why God doesn't do anything to these people, and why He's constantly letting people intervene. He's constantly letting me battle with people. He won't, Jesus hasn't healed my heart to the where I can just forgive. You know what I mean? He won't bring justice. You know what I mean? And that's why it's hard to believe in Jesus, because it's like, where is the justice, Jesus, that you said that you was going to provide? I know that's why a lot of people turn to Jesus, because they want to be able to be forgiven, but then they also continue in their actions. And so we use Jesus to be forgiven, but then we continue in our actions, right? And I'm just like, Jesus, see, this is why you can't just be forgiving everybody, Jesus. You don't make people work for it like you make others work for it. You feel what I'm saying? I hope y'all feel what I'm saying out there. Now, again, this might sound like complaining. I don't care. Not only is this therapy for me, but this is what other people think about. A lot of these things that I mentioned, when people do sell their souls, for those who do sell their soul, these are the types of things that they think about. These are the types of things that they think about. I may have not covered all of them, but, especially when it comes to women, I don't know what things women think about when they think about selling their soul or do sell their soul. But it's like, damn, Lord, I think about these things, and it's like, where you at, in my life? When are you going to move? When are you going to do something? How long do I got to fast? How long do I got to pray for? I get tired of that. And the Bible does say, though, for those who don't get weary, you know what I mean, and don't faint, the blessing is right there for you. But it's just too long to wait on the Lord. You know what I mean? It's too long, and I just get tired of waiting on the Lord. Like, I just do. And every time in life that I've called myself waiting on the Lord, I stop waiting on the Lord. I stop praising the Lord. I stop thinking about God, and I just go do me. And I end up getting the outcomes that I want. But I decided to do it differently this time. I said I was going to wait on the Lord. I said I was going, because I said what I could do with my power, I've seen. But what can I do with God's power? You know what I mean? Like, what can be done when God puts His power into you, when God makes a way, when God opens doors, when God does this, when God does that. No man can close them, and no man can stop them. And that's why I said maybe the Lord doesn't love me, because why would you prevent my life so much that you allow all these preventions, all this stuff to stop me? You allow secrets to be held against me. You know what I mean? You allow information to be withheld from me so that I can't move forward, so that I get stuck. These things are demonic, but the Lord is not a demonic entity. The Lord is a good entity. And so I get to thinking to myself, like, Lord, come on now, I need you to help a brother out. Like, where you at? You know, but right now, I'm really considering not selling my soul, but just giving up on God and just letting God. I want to be now. Okay, cool. I want to take care of my kid, but in love, man. Like that's the one thing that God, I believe, can't provide is love. He cannot provide a woman or for women, men to love, right? Because that is that person. You know, the person has free will. So like I've been reading this book, and in this book it's basically got a bunch of short stories. And one of the short stories is like it's about this lady and she's on a bridge. Hey, what's up? Um kids love me, dog. I'm telling you, kids and dogs, they love me. Um but basically it's about this lady and she's like an entity. She's like a spiritual entity and she appears on a bridge every full moon, and I think the full moons are every so often. And basically, she grants wishes. You know what I mean? She grants three wishes, and it's either one or the other, one or the other, one or the other. So you out of three wishes, you can either go left, right, left, right, left, or right. You know what I mean? It's your choice, but you can go left or right, left or right, left or right. And um, what I noticed about it is that there was a common theme. There was a lot of people that kept coming to her that were surrounded around the same issue, right? And this person wanted to love this person, right? And so they wished that this person would love them. But that same person that they wanted them to love came to the lady and was like, I don't love this person, but I love this person. Can you make this person love me? And so that person would come to her and be like,